He's on the streets of Charleston fighting for civil rights. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with community activist Shakem Akhet. Shakem.
Yes, sir, brother. How you doing?
Good, yourself?
Yes, sir. Wonderful, wonderful.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is my first time actually meeting you.
Okay, yes.
And of course, I reached out to you about an interview that I wanted to do with someone for Quintin's Close-Ups later in the month. And you told me you would reach out to them.
Definitely.
And I thank you for that. Let me turn to headline news right now. As you know, just recently, you said this on Facebook, quote, "I had the opportunity to meet with Walter Scott's mother tonight. I promise that I will help her fight for justice for Walter Scott. We still have 2 trials coming up soon. Slave is being retried in state court, and a federal trials also. I will support this strong queen 100%. Her son, Walter Scott, didn't die in vain." As I sit right now with you, Shakem, can you describe to me who Judy Scott is right now?
Judy Scott is a strong black woman who is mourning the death of her son by a rogue officer who took his life while he was fleeing and also planted evidence on him and tried to get off. So, you know, she's a mother who's mourning, but in her mourning, she's showing strength by standing up and fighting and persevering no matter what. And we know that she's a very religious woman.
Right.
And she got up and she spoke about the power of God, and she spoke about, you know, the power of the Creator and how she knows that justice will be given or manifested in this case. But it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, and she's prepared for that long, drawn-out process, but she needs good, strong, solid soldiers, men and women behind her to actually change the perception of Walter Scott as depicted by Andy Savage and in the media.
And I want to get back to Walter Scott and the Michael Slater mistrial in just a moment, but I'm going to walk you across the street to the Dylan Roof trial. As you said on December 10th on Facebook, quote, "Listening to Dylan Roof laugh about killing blacks and chuckling about the clock 45 he used makes my blood boil. I need to pay respects to Denmark Vesey tonight. I can't let his legacy be blank on like this." Tell me, what is Denmark Vesey's legacy like in your mind?
Denmark Vesey's legacy is that of rebellion.
Okay.
That of standing up against a wicked opposition. And it really is sentimental to a lot of us because it happened in Charleston. He actually put his life on the line right here in this city. And as a preacher, we know that one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is, "There's no greater love that a man have who would lay down his life for a friend." So that scripture describes the mentality of Denmark Vesey and those who were in that rebellion. They decided to lay down their lives, not only for themselves, but for their offsprings. So me and you right now are in a situation to where we can have the freedom that we do because of them laying down in the city of Charleston, fighting for their offspring and their progenitors to be able to stand like how we do now. So we know that Dylan Roof said that he attacked the church because of its historical history. It's history. It's a historical perspective. So we know the history of Mother Emanuel Church. And we know that this is the place where the slave rebellion was plotted and laid down. So we understand that Dylan Roof had in his mind payback because the slaves were going to rebel against his ancestors.
Wow. And let me continue on that because obviously we've heard powerful testimonies from Felicia Sanders as well, law enforcement officials. Now today we just learned that Dylan Roof had a list of primarily African-American churches from Columbia here to really do his dirty work.
Right.
When you hear that, what sticks out to you?
Well, what sticks out to me is, the mentality that a lot of white supremacists have as far as feeling as though blacks who worship God, worship the Creator, are perfect targets. See, they know that our people have always been a loving people. We welcomed them into Africa, the Europeans. We welcomed them into Africa. We didn't kill them when they came in. We taught them how to eat. We taught them how to live. We civilized them. We taught them how to survive. And they turned their backs on us and killed us. But our people have always welcomed in outsiders and showed them love. We are loving and a kind people. And that's been the history that's been played out for many years for the black man and the black woman. So now you have a white supremacist looking for an easy target. So the easiest target that he sees is the church, because he knows he'll be welcome in the church. He knows our people are full of the love of God in the church. So he knows that he can take advantage of them in that situation, because that'll be an area where we would welcome in spite of his flaws or in spite of his color. And he wouldn't be looked at in a suspicious manner. So it really upsets me that these white supremacists would actually sit down and plot on a church. And you know me, I believe that, you know how they say in the Bible, God is a just God. So retribution, will be had. And sometimes I think, we don't understand that, like God said, vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. And if we have to stand up and rise up against this mentality, and we have to meet it, hand in hand, fist to fist, blow for blow, then we'll do it like how Nat Turner did it.
And you know the streets like anybody else.
Most definitely.
And allegedly, he said that, this is Dylan Roof, he thought that he couldn't go to the black community and basically do what he wanted to do.
Right.
When you hear that, what goes to your mind?
Well, when he spoke about, first going to a large black event,
right.
It starts running through your mind. Well, what event did he have in mind? Did he have maybe Spoleto, or you have different black events that we have here in the city. Because you heard him say, I like Charleston. I just wanted to go there. So just think about all the black events in Charleston. What event do you think he could have went to in order to kill a large amount of black people? Because he definitely stated he wanted to target the city. He said he thought about, going on the streets, but, they got guns too, right. And, things like that. So it really wouldn't, be appropriate. But, it really is a chilling testimony. And, not to put anybody on blast, but one of the sisters, she's the granddaughter of one of the victims. And she inboxed me. And she asked me, could I please take down the confession? She said, because, and listening to what she said, and we corresponded on the inbox, she said that, we don't want to give him any more publicity than he's getting now, which is understandable. Nevertheless, the message to be received from what Dylan Roof said is one that we must study, one that we must listen to. This is a mentality that we face and is prevalent in a lot of people, but they just don't express it outwardly and in the way that he did. So the thing is, we, in the art of war, we have to study the mentality of our opposition in order to effectively combat that which he's trying to, set forth to do against us. So I believe that, and no disrespect, because I totally understand fundamentally, and I get it, and I don't never want a war with my brothers and sisters. Nonetheless, that interview is something that every black person and every white person also needs to watch, especially those of us who are fighting for justice, those of us who are fighting for not only human rights but civil rights, those of us who want to make a change in Charleston. We need to understand that there are people who want to attack this city because of the historical significance that it has. And I guess, it's a location to where it's been so much tension and race relations. Dylan Roof even mentioned that at one point Charleston had the highest number of blacks to whites as far as the ratio right after slavery. So he did an in-depth study of the history of Charleston, and he said, you know what, this is a wonderful city for me to try to start a race war.
Well, you talk about retribution. Let me take you to North Charleston. You said this on December 8th. And you wrote this on your other page as well. Shakem Akhet threatens North Charleston City Councilman with retribution for selling out the black community for 30 pieces of silver like Judas. I'm wondering, what is your definition of retribution?
Retribution is organization and letting them know that this is a temporary seat that you have.
Okay.
This is temporary. So don't rest on your laurels so much to think that we're sleeping and we don't see. The last election that we had with Keith Summey, we had the largest black turnout. That is the most critical opposition that he's ever faced. Even though we lost, it still shows that there is frustration. I got on Michael Brown District 10.
Right.
The reason why, they had 160 units that are leaving out of Chicora, Cherokee to build a railway. In exchange, $3 million, they did something called a mitigation. So what they want to do, a mitigation basically is, okay, because we know what we're doing is detrimental to the community, we want to give you something. So the largest thing that they got out of it was the rebuilding of Sterrett Hall, a basketball goal, a gym. That's not what that community needs. We need that money to go towards trade schools or job training, things that the city can do, that you don't really need Charleston County School District to do, but you can do it on your own. You can get a trade school and set up, you can set up a center a center of learning to where people can come, and a complex to where you can, why didn't they rebuild the library? They could have upgraded the library. They could have put an educational center in there to where people could learn trades and other skills. That's what we need. And when politicians are so comfortable with making decisions like this, then it gets ugly. Also, I got on them because, we just had a situation to where we were asking for a citizens review board.
Right.
And we couldn't and there was a lot of us who were fighting in these meetings back and forth with the Department of Justice. And I was so upset because I look around and I don't see Dorothy Williams. I don't see Sam Hart. I don't see Michael Brown. These areas that they're in, Dorchester, Wayland, full of crime, full of robberies and oppression, and full of just anything you could imagine. Dorchester, Wayland has murders left and right. These people should be in these meetings trying to figure out how can we make better the police and community relations. Sam Hart, look at the district he's in: 10 Mile Hill, Russellville, Ferndale, these areas, Liberty Hill, Liberty Park. These areas are filled with crime. You got Michael Brown, Chicora, Cherokee, the Macon, Ackaby. Right. You mean to tell me these local politicians are not involved in the process of trying to get together and put together a citizens review board? Damn real is going to be retribution. And I wanted to use the words of Keith Summey to let them know that the same retribution that he had in mind for the black community who opposed him, guess what? We can do the same to you. And that's why we had to go get on Elliott Summey. Elliott Summey made some of the most disparaging comments behind closed doors about the black community. These are things that people are saying about us behind closed doors, but they're laughing in our face. We have to hold them accountable. There has to be retribution. We cannot continue to allow them to say these negative things about us and get away with it.
Let me turn from North Charleston to Mall Park and downtown Charleston, because obviously a protest took place on December 7th.
Yes, sir.
Right outside of my house.
Okay, all right.
But nonetheless, you guys were protesting really the mistrial declaration in the Michael Slager case. Mm-hmm. When you look back to that particular event to right now, what still plays in your mind?
As far as that mistrial?
The protest.
Well, the protest, what I wanted to do is kind of change the narrative. Because a lot of times when you see me or brothers that I associate with and you hear the word protest, the first thing that comes to people's mind is they're going to be violent, they're going to be angry, they're going to be mad. But what we want to do is show that we have a message. And I said in my message that I was speaking that justice for Walter Scott is not throwing a rock at a police station. Nowhere in the history of Charleston have we had a violent protest in response to any of the injustices that have been placed upon our people. We've never been a violent people. We've always come in peace. Right. So when we protest, we wanted to let the people know that we had a message. Our message was justice for Walter Scott is actually means building a legacy for our people so that we can trust each other, we can love each other, we can show each other support. We can show each other unity. We can actually make our communities better. When we say we want justice for Walter Scott, that does mean holding law enforcement accountable, because we want to hold them accountable and we will hold them accountable. But also it means holding ourselves accountable. So as brothers, especially a brother like me, I did 8 years in the penitentiary. And during my 8 years in the penitentiary, I wanted to make sure that when I came out, not only after I got myself together and I got my family together, I wanted to get the community together. When these brothers are lying dead in the street, it's our duty to prevent this stuff from happening over and over again. That's what we want as far as justice for Walter Scott.
Let me turn you back to last Monday. You said the following on Facebook: mistrial. One juror is all it takes. I know the Post Inquiry had a headline the next day that says deadlock. If you were to go back and write that particular headline, what would you rewrite?
Whew. That's something I'd have to really think about it.
Okay.
Because it's almost so many ways you can describe that one situation.
Okay.
I mean, it was just a moment of history. It wasn't necessarily surprising, because I don't have faith in the system. We haven't seen one cop convicted of a crime as far as killing, an unarmed black man. We haven't seen that. So it wasn't a surprise. It was just, it makes the sense of distrust and hurt and pain, it makes it grow within us. So if I had to rewrite it, I don't even know what I would write. I would have to sit down and ponder on it. But see me, I know it would probably be controversial, whatever I chose to write.
Shakem Akhet, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate
brother.
this.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, brother. You take care.